Detective Mike Harper stood on the rocky pier, watching heavy grey clouds gathering over the small English town of Dunwich. His mission was clear: to investigate the disappearance of an ancient artifact recently stolen from the local museum. But with each step toward this place, he had a strange feeling that something much more sinister awaited him. Mike was an experienced detective, but this assignment seemed challenging from the start. The artifact that vanished was not an ordinary antiquity, but a mysterious statuette covered with unknown symbols that no one could decipher. The museum owner, Dr. Edgar Hartman, claimed the statuette belonged to a cult that disappeared long before recorded history. Upon arrival in Dunwich, Mike headed straight to the museum. It was a gloomy, ancient building more resembling an abandoned castle than a cultural institution. The stone walls, covered with moss and mold, sent shivers down the detective's spine. The door was opened by an old woman with empty, almost lifeless eyes, introducing herself as Mrs. Crawford, the museum's caretaker. Dr. Hartman greeted Mike in his office, cluttered with ancient manuscripts and strange artifacts. "Detective Harper, pleased to see you. The case is complex, but I believe you can help," he said, handing over a folder containing documents related to the disappearance. "You say this artifact belonged to an ancient cult. What do you know about it?" Mike asked, scanning through the documents. "Very little, unfortunately. But I have found mentions of them in ancient texts. They worshipped a being they called Yog-Sothoth. Supposedly, this deity possessed knowledge of all worlds and times. The statuette, I presume, served as a link between our world and his," replied the doctor, his voice trembling with unspeakable horror. Mike felt a chill of fear run down his spine. "Where did you find this statuette?" "In one of the caves nearby the town. It's where, according to legends, the cult performed their rituals. I would suggest you start by visiting the cave. I fear whoever stole the statuette might be attempting a ritual to summon Yog-Sothoth into our world," the doctor said, and his words seemed to hang in the air. The detective headed to the cave on the outskirts of Dunwich. The road was winding and shrouded in dense fog. As he approached the entrance, he felt the ground beneath him begin to tremble. An unnatural smell, a mix of sulfur and decay, hung in the air. Inside the cave, absolute darkness greeted him. His flashlight barely dispersed the thick darkness. Suddenly, he heard whispers, seemingly coming from all directions. "Yog-Sothoth," the unseen voices whispered, sending shivers down Mike's spine. He pressed on, trying to ignore the mounting horror. Deep within the cave, he found an altar surrounded by strange symbols carved into the stone. On the altar lay the statuette, emitting an eerie green glow. As Mike approached the altar, he felt reality begin to warp. The space around him seemed to twist into an unfathomable vortex. From the darkness emerged a figure in a black cloak with a hood obscuring its face. "You should not be here," the figure said, its voice echoing as if 1,000 voices spoke in unison. "Yog-Sothoth is near, and nothing can stop him." Mike attempted to reach for his gun, but his hand froze in the air as if an invisible force paralyzed him. The cloaked figure reached for the statuette, and the green light began to fill the cave, turning it into a living nightmare. But at that moment, something inside Mike snapped. He remembered Dr. Hartman's words about the symbols and ancient texts. With effort, gathering all his willpower, he shouted, "Eldritch, Zotha, Gallo." The symbols on the altar began to glow, and the light of the statuette dimmed. The figure in the cloak screamed in agony, and the cave began to collapse. Mike managed to grab the statuette and run towards the exit. Rocks fell from the ceiling, and the sound of the collapsing cave merged with the unnatural screams of the creature they nearly summoned. Outside, Mike finally stopped and looked back. The cave was now buried, and only a faint wisp of smoke rose from it. He breathed heavily, feeling relieved. The statuette he held no longer glowed and appeared to be a simple trinket. Returning to Dunwich, he handed the statuette to Dr. Hartman. It was close. "Too close," he said, and his eyes reflected the horrors he witnessed in the cave. The doctor nodded, taking the statuette. "Now we must hide it forever." "Some things are better left in the shadows," he said, and Mike knew they would never forget this day. Leaving the town, the detective felt he'd left behind something darker and more ancient than he could imagine. He felt he had only touched the surface of the mysterious horrors lurking in the depths of our world, understanding that there are things best left unseen.